Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss about concept of binary and counting semaphore and how to choose an R task. In the previous video we have seen what is task synchronization. The technique used for task synchronization in multitasking environment is mutual exclusion. This mutual exclusion blocks the process. So based on the behavior of the blocked process, mutual exclusion can be classified into two types. Mutual exclusion through busy waiting, spin lock, and mutual exclusion through sleep and wake up. Semaphore, it's a sleep and wake up mutual exclusion method used for shared resources access. Okay, so it's a system resource used for shared resources access. Whenever a process wants to access the shared resources, that can first acquire this system object to indicate the other process which is waiting for the system resources that shared resources is currently used by it. Based on the implementation, semaphores can be classified into two types, binary semaphore and counting semaphore. First we will say about binary semaphore. Binary semaphore is also called as mutex. Mutex implements exclusive access to shared resources by allocating the system resources to a single process at a time and not allowing other process to access it when the resources are being used by some other process. Okay. So here any process or task can create the mutex object and other process or task can use this for the synchronization. Here there are two states for binary semaphore, one is set to signal, another one is set to non-signal. So when the binary semaphore object is set to signal, it means the system resources are not owned by any process or thread. When the state is, it's when the binary semaphore state is set to non-signal, that means the system resources is owned by some other process or thread. So we can compare the concept of binary semaphore with a dormitory system for accommodation. So dormitory system means the big room will be there, many beds will be available for the user. So anybody wants to avail the bed, they can go and request the caretaker. If bed is available, he can avail the user can avail the bed and he can share the bed among the roommates, and he can share the fan, TV, and washrooms, everything with the roommates. Here also, when the mutex, here also process A wants to access mutex object which is unavailable. So the process A will go for sleep mode until it gets or until mutex object is available. So after that also process A will keep checking whether the mutex object is available. So when the mutex object is available, it can occur and it can write it in the critical section. So same way, if the room is not available, the user has to give his mobile number or address to the caretaker. When the bed is available, he will be notified. So he can come and avail the room. So while vacating the room, he has to return the key. So the caretaker can notify some other user who is already booked the room. Second one is counting semaphore. Counting semaphore, it maintains count between 0 and maximum value. It limits the usage of resource by a fixed number of process or thread. Okay. For example, process A, it needs 7 resources, but counting semaphore will allocate maximum of 5 maximum 5 resources for the process or thread. So at a time it can have 5 resources. For the remaining next 2 resources, it has to wait. Here also we have two states, set to signal state and set to non-signal state. Set to signal state means when the count of the object is greater than 0, means it processor thread can request for the system resources. Next one, set to non-signal, when the semaphore is occurred by the maximum number of process or thread. Okay, so semaphore is not free, none of the process or thread can send the request signal. We can compare the concept of counting semaphore with the hotel rooms. So hotel rooms means the user can ask for the entire room. So entire room will be given for him if he is ready to follow the rules and regulations of hotel, so he can own that room as many days he wants. He can pay and use in that the fan and the all the resources, fan, televisions or toilet, everything only he can share, only he will share. So here also a process A wants to access for a semaphore object which is unavailable. So it will sleep until it is available. So it will keep check whether that semaphore object is available. Once it is available, it can acquire that and it can use. Next one is how to choose an OTAS. So before choosing real-time operating system, we have to do proper analyzing, a careful analyzing before making a decision on the selection of real-time operating system. There are two factors called functional factors and non-functional factors. The functional requirements are processor support, memory requirements, real-time capabilities, kernel and interrupt latency, IPC and task synchronization, modularization support and development language and support. First one, processor support. It is not necessary that all the real-time operating systems are supporting all the kind of processor. So first, before choosing the processor, first we have to make sure that processor is supporting for real-time operating system. Second one, memory requirements. All the real-time operating systems needs two types of memory, RAM and ROM. It needs ROM memory for storing operating system files. It needs the RAM memory for loading the operating system services. Next one is real-time capabilities. So it is not mandatory that all the operating systems which are used in embedded systems need to be real-time and it need to be deterministic in behavior. Only the application, only the operating systems which are used in real-time application should have deterministic behavior. Next one, kernel and interrupt latency. See, sometimes operating system will block the interrupt while executing some important applications. So other devices cannot send interrupt request for the embedded device. For an embedded system whose response requirements are high, should have minimal latency, interrupt latency. Next one, inter-process communication and task synchronization. So a real-time operating system must have some inter-process communication mechanism for the proper communication between various processes or tasks or threads, and it must have proper task synchronization technique to avoid the conflicts between various processes and threads. Next one, modularization support. So modularization means real-time operating system should be ready to accept the change. So whenever the developer wants to add some modules, he should be able to add some modules so that he can recompile the OS image for the new functioning. The last one is development language support. So many of the codes which is written in Java or a .NET needs library functions for their execution. For example, the code written in Java need Java Virtual Machine for running Java applications, and the codes which is written in .NET needs .NET Compact Framework for running Microsoft .NET applications. So the real-time operating system should have the support for development language. Next one is non-functional requirements. In that, first one, custom developed or off the shelf. So based on the real-time operating system requirements, we can go for the readily available operating system which are readily available in the market. Next one, cost. Total cost for developing or buying the operating system and maintaining needs to be evaluated. Based on that only we have to go choose the real-time operating system. Next, development and debugging tools availability. So all the real-time operating system must have the development and debugging tools. So the certain operating systems which are having the development and debugging tools may be superior in performance. Last one is ease of use. So a real-time operating system should be user friendly. So how easy it is to use, that is also a matter.